Ed Sciaky here with you, and well, a great week. First of all, let me say that our program is brought to you tonight without interruption by Budweiser and by the Philadelphia Folk Festival, which is coming up August 25th, 26th, and 27th in Schwenksville. We'll have some tickets to give out. We'll have an all-festival pair of tickets to give out later on, and more information to follow on the festival as well. We have a special guest tonight. It's Trevor Rabin of Yes. That's the other Yes, the group that is still Yes. Of course, Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe were in town this week. In fact, they were in Harrisburg Wednesday. Kind of very strange gig out there. Really not a great place to perform with the heat and the bugs and everything. But the Spectrum was one of the greatest of all time. It was an incredible show. 3 hours of great Yes music, starting with Time and a Word and ending with Sweet Dreams. And it was wonderful. It was a triumph for the band. They were very moved emotionally by it, and hopefully they will be back soon, so hopefully more details will follow on that. Meanwhile, then I also caught them Saturday night, last night, out in Merriweather Post Pavilion in D.C., also another hot venue, and not nearly as incredible a show as here in Philadelphia. But the tour moves along. Hopefully they will be back. But tonight, we feature the man from the other band, Yes, the guy who joined up with Cinema for the 90125 album, and the album became Yes, of course, with the addition of John Anderson. So now we find that there is a Yes. Trevor will tell us about it, and we will listen tonight to his brand new solo album, Can't Look Away. So coming up now, our conversation with Trevor Rabin. So we will feature a conversation with him as well. That's all coming up tonight on the Sunday Night Alternative. Our guest tonight on the Sunday Night Alternative is a guy who, well, I kind of met under strange circumstances, and that was when he joined up with the group that I had known for years, and that was Yes, and that is Trevor Rabin. Welcome again, Trevor.
Hi, Ed. How are you?
I'm just fine. We're here on the occasion of the release of your new solo album.
Right.
And it's kind of like your solo career took a left turn for a few years here, and now you're kind of back on track. Do you see it that way? I mean, how do you... I'll ask you about the Yes experience, but maybe you can put that in perspective for us. Yeah.
Well, I always intended to carry on my solo career. What happened, though, is, in fact, I was about to do a solo album when I met up with Chris and Alan and Tony and got together and really liked what it felt like. And I had all these songs that I was going to do on the solo album. And the reason the solo album didn't happen then was because those songs became 90125. And, John then joined and sang, and it became Yes. Then we toured, and that took up some time. Then we did another album, and then we toured, and so it was put on hold a little longer than I would have liked it to have been. But in retrospect, I think it was a good thing, because when I did the album, I really felt that I didn't want to do an album again where I didn't really want to say something, because it's much easier to get inspired and feel like there's something moving in the music when you really feel there's something to say. And I felt that way with this album, and so it was a perfect timing. Creatively, it was perfect timing.
Yeah. We should go back a little bit and talk about your early days, because I first heard of you, I brought your records here just so we could visually reminisce here, because you've probably forgotten what records you made already, right?
No, I don't have a lot.
First of all, well, I have an extra of that Rabbit if you would like it. Oh. I do. I found that I have two of these. This was the first Rabbit album, right?
I look old there, don't I?
You're much older than now, right?
Yeah.
Boys Will Be Boys, right? Was that your first album? Now, this was
the first Rabbit album.
Recorded in South Africa, or yeah?
Yeah, the first Rabbit album was recorded in South Africa. It took, I think, 4 weeks. And it was released something like 8 weeks after it was started to be recorded.
How old were you at the time?
I look about 9. I don't know. I think I was 18 or somewhere around there, 18, 19.
The whole South African thing is another whole probably subject for another hour-long interview. But I mean, you grew up in South Africa, and what was it like trying to get into the music business and looking out at the rest of the world from that particular vantage point?
Well, there was never any intention for me from the earliest age to do anything else but music. From the age of 5 and 6. 5 years old, I started classical piano, and my whole family was was into music. My father was a violinist, led the Johannesburg Symphony Orchestra. My mother was a licentiate piano teacher. My brother was a violinist, and it was just pretty natural to do that. It's ironic that I turned out to be the one that carried on to be a musician. And it was just very natural. And what I did in South Africa, though, was I started off by doing primarily playing at clubs and the sleazy clubs, because those were the only clubs where you could do original music, because if you didn't do top 40, there was nowhere to play. And I made money. I mean, I was 14, 15 years old. And as far as making some pocket money, certainly wasn't getting it from the clubs, so I started doing session work. And that's how I kind of started, and the session work led to me admiring some of the arrangers and conductors, and that what led me into studying to do that and becoming proficient enough, I think, to for what I need to do. But one of my intentions at one point was to become a professional conductor, and so I studied to do that. I'm glad I did. I don't use it much that anymore, but it was just I was so engulfed, so into the music thing that I never really looked at demographics or what the music scene was like. I just was music all the time.
Now, was this first album a hit in South Africa, or?
Yeah, this was actually this was the first gold record by a local rock band.
And it was released in America by Capricorn. Did you ever come over and tour with Rabbit?
No. We intended to. Frank Fenter, who was I think, along with Phil Walden, headed the company, wanted us to tour, but we just never got around to it.
The second album, is there a track on that first album that that you would have any witty remarks about now in retrospect, now that you...
Well, something funny about this album is the song Eventides was written before, and I can't remember which album it was, but the Floyd song with us, and them, I don't know which one that is.
Us and them.
Us and them. And it's amazing. If you listen to that, it has a very similar kind of flavor and feel to that song. But it was done before that, and I wouldn't suggest for 1 second that Pink Floyd were influenced by Rabbit.
Second Rabbit album was, what is it, a croak and
a grunt in the night.
Grunt in the night, right.
Yeah, we were getting street level at this point.
And Trevor is nearly nude on the cover, covered strategically by his guitar.
Yeah, my trusty old Strat. This was a fun album. I think this was the best album we did, and I had a lot of fun making this album. It has a Beatlesque flavor to it. And
what tune do you think would be representative here?
I think probably Searching is a good indication of what the album's about.
So was it after 2 albums that Rabbit broke up?
They actually went on to do another album without me because I really wanted to leave the country at that point, and the band, in my estimation, I like, as soon as complacency sets in, or the potential of complacency and lethargicness, I get very nervous, and I can't function well under those kind of circumstances. And I felt we hit the pinnacle of our career, and anywhere from there, had I stayed in the band, I think we would have stagnated. So I decided to get out and try and do something more challenging.
Now, was the political situation in the country a factor in your wanting to leave, or?
That was absolutely, that was part of it. I was brought up in a family that from day one taught me that the system there was wrong. And I think Donald Woods is a cousin of mine who, the guy who wrote and starred in Cry Freedom and escaped the country. He was under house arrest. So he's my mother's first cousin, and I was brought up under those things were going on all the time. So a lot of the time I was aware of this, and I was happy to get into a completely free environment.